Overwatch 2 has been out for a few months now and has had some major backlash from the community. I've played Overwatch 2 for around 50 hours now, and this is my take on the game as it stands today. And I'll include some of the things I learned in 50 hours so you have a somewhat better understanding of how to play if it's your first time jumping into a match. Before I talk about the game itself, I want to say I have never played the first Overwatch, so all my opinions about the game are based solely on playing Overwatch 2, so take that for what it's worth. If I said something wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments because there's still a lot I have to learn in this game. If you liked the video, don't forget to like the video, and if you want to see more Overwatch content in the future, hit that sub button for me. If you're hesitant about playing Overwatch 2, my advice to you is, it's free, so why not try it? Hear me out. I started playing Overwatch 2 because I got tired of playing Battle Royales. I mean, let's face it, there are some good times in playing BRs, but there are some pretty dull moments in BRs where you just run around looting or looking for people to kill. In Overwatch 2, you respawn after a short timer, which makes the game much more fast-paced and can make for some pretty crazy moments in the game. One caveat is that when you get to a point where both teams have their ultimates, good luck. There are ultimates going off left and right, I can't even tell what's happening. There aren't too many adrenaline pumping fights in Overwatch as there are in BRs, so if you're an adrenaline addict, it may not be the game for you. But it's definitely still competitive and you can still make some pretty good plays. Like this badass Reaper ult I had here to win us the game. Let me break Overwatch 2 down for the new people. It is a class-based first-person shooter with 3 classes to choose from, all of which have their own unique abilities. The 3 classes are tanks, damage, and healers. Tanks have more health and are mostly defensive, but there are some tanks who are better on the offensive, which are called dive tanks. Their specialty is to get into the enemy's face, do some damage, and then get back to their team. A tank's primary goal is to create space in matches by utilizing their abilities such as shields or other abilities to mitigate damage and push your team further. Damage heroes are heavily focused on offensive abilities and they are the most straightforward heroes to play. You guessed it, their main goal is to put out as much damage as possible. Now there are different strategies to doing that based on the hero you choose, but if I explained even a few, this video would be way too long. But I would say the basic 2 strategies are to just simply do damage and obviously try not to die, and the second is to focus your damage on the enemy healers. Healer abilities are more passive than anything, but each healer has an ability that can also put out a decent amount of damage or cause the enemies to take more damage. However, keep in mind if you play a healer and you focus more on damage than you do heals, just be prepared to get some criticism from your team and probably lose the match. One problem a new player will face is you don't automatically have all the characters unlocked, which is frustrating since there is always going to be a meta in class-based shooters. To unlock all characters, you have to complete a whopping 150 games. With each game lasting almost 10 minutes, that is some serious game time for someone that is on the fence about playing in the first place. Also, it looks as though the way forward for new characters is you either have to pay for the battle pass, which is 1100 credits to unlock them immediately, or you have to wait until you get to the battle pass level 45 to unlock them. By the way, if you're thinking about just completing a couple battle passes to get the free credits, you can forget about that. You get 0 credits as you complete the battle pass. The only way to get credits is by completing weekly challenges. And you can only earn a maximum of 60 credits each week. You have to complete every weekly challenge for 18 weeks before you could even buy the battle pass. Alright, now on to game modes. In quick play, there are 3 game modes you can play depending on the map. One is where you capture an objective for points. There's another where you capture an objective and then escort a payload. And lastly, there is push, where you escort a robot to push a barricade into the enemy spawn. Capturing the objective and escorting the payload are self-explanatory, but push can be pretty annoying. The robot will only move if your team is near it, and if you and the enemy team are both near it, it won't move at all. Each team has a barricade that can be pushed, and to get the robot out of your spawn, you have to escort it all the way back to the enemy barricade before you can even advance the objective any further. It makes for a lot of wasting time escorting the robot back and forth without ever actually doing anything to help you win. There are also a ton of different arcade game modes, which usually feature seasonal events where you can unlock character skins by completing challenges, and there's even an option to play game modes created by other players. Overwatch 2 also has a competitive ranked mode, which are the same game modes as the quick play, but worse. Since I was new to ranked and the game was trying to figure out my skill, I had quite a few games where I just got completely stomped. To get your rank, you have to either win 7 games or lose 20 games, whichever comes first. After you get your rank, those games will reset and you have to win another 7 or lose another 20 to get your next rank. And although your rank is changing after each game, there is no option to see your rank while you're completing the games. And to top it off, each character has their own ranks. So to get a rank for each character, you're going to have to win your 7 games or lose 20 games each time. Like I said, I've played for about 50 hours now, and while this isn't everything, these are some of the important things you should know to help your team secure victory. Stay with your team as much as possible, unless you're a character that is capable of flanking and can quickly get back to help your team, like Reaper, Sombra, or even Winston. The worst thing to happen is having your team running back to the objective one by one and then repeatedly dying. Overwatch 2 is not a game where one person can solo an entire team, unless you're Shroud, but even he can't do that every time. Know your role and stick to it throughout the match. If you're a tank, don't push so far forward to force your healers to chase you and cause all of you to die. If you're a DPS, don't flank so far you can't make it back. And you can try to focus on one player. When I'm playing DPS, I usually try to kill the healers, because if you eliminate the enemy healers, you force them to either retreat or they have to pick up heals from around the map. And if you're a healer, then focus on healing primarily your tank and then your DPS. Practice with a couple characters in each role to find the one that best fits your playstyle. Are you a god aimer and can snipe people all day? Try Widow. Or do you prefer to be a sweat and be up in people's faces when you kill them? Try Genji. It's best to learn how to play each character, or at least have a good understanding about what their abilities can do so you know how to counter them. But to start, just pick 1 to 2 heroes in each class and go mess around in the practice range for a little bit. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on Overwatch 2 or any other game out right now. Let me know what Overwatch content you want to see in future videos, whether it be quick tips, character guides, or just some gameplay. Well, that's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching and have a great day.